Good afternoon, this is Sean Golding with Golding & Golding, here to discuss the basics of what you do in the US if you have an Indian Demat account. Baseline perspective, as we always talk about, beginning in all of these videos, US taxes you on your worldwide income. Doesn't matter if you're an Indian citizen, if you're a US citizen as well, legal permanent resident or foreign national who meets the substantial presence test, you're on a visa, maybe not, maybe it's an L1, H1B, O1, and you're here for a sufficient amount of time, and you don't meet one of the exceptions or the exclusions, you tax on your worldwide income. And that would include income generated from a Demat. So what's a Demat, right? A Demat is a dematerialized investment account in India. Back in the day, certificates and all that kind of good stuff, and then they changed to dematerialized, so it's more of an account. Electronic makes it easier for everyone to operate. If you want to have stocks or securities or other investments in India, you need the Demat account. So one thing to consider is what type of investments do you have, right? Stocks, shares, things like that are generally going to be in a Demat form. Mutual funds and other type of funds, not necessarily. You can own the funds normally without having it specifically in a Demat account. When it comes to the tax, it's going to be based on what the underlying investments are. So if you've got stock certificates or just stock ownership in the Demat, and it's generating dividends, capital gains, interest for one reason or another, if it's like a bond, that's all going to be taxable in the US. Now, if you have what's called mutual funds or equity funds, you may have something called a PFIC, and then the tax is way more complicated. We have a separate presentation on the issue of mutual funds alone. So when you have a Demat and it has income, it's reportable. A question I get often is, well, I've got a Demat, but I haven't touched it forever. If you have it, then it's still going to be reportable, even if it's dormant, even if you're not making any trades, even if it's sitting there idle or dormant, like I said. There's some other reporting in addition to the tax. The U.S. really likes itself some reporting. So if you've got a Demat, there are various reporting you may have to do. Generally, you'll do the FBAR, which is Foreign Bank and Financial Account Reporting. It's reported each year on FinCEN Form 114. You may also have to do FATCA, which is the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, Form 8938. One thing to keep in mind, sometimes people say just because it has a zero balance you have to report it. Generally the answer is yes. If you meet the threshold requirement for reporting in general, then that also includes other types of accounts that may have a zero balance. I only repeat that a few times because many clients come to us and they're Demat, they don't use them. And so they're sitting there idle, but they're still open. PFIC for a Demat depends what's underneath. Generally, no, but you have to look at the specific assets within the Demat to determine whether that may be something that would be required. If you have not properly reported the Demat and you're worried and you want to get into compliance, there's lots of various programs available. The general catchphrase is offshore voluntary disclosure or offshore tax amnesty. If you're willful or you can't qualify or you can't certify, under penalty of perjury that you're non-willful, you would do the VDP, Voluntary Disclosure Program. If you're non-willful, there's lots of options available to you. There's the streamlined filing compliance procedures, which is broken down further into the streamlined domestic and streamlined offshore. There's reasonable cause and there's delinquency. We have lots of free information available on our main website, goldinglawyers.com. We have lots of sub-websites identifying specific forms and investments to help you weed through some of the complexities. And if you want to, you can always reach out and schedule a reduced fee initial consultation if you think it's appropriate for your situation. Again, my name is Sean Golding with Golding & Golding. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.